Then we got the Wrestle Crap of the Year segment.
All that matters is that, and keep in mind, as this segment is occurring, the match is starting in the ring. Mr. Anderson versus Kurt Angle in a cage match with lumberjacks. Bischoff is backstage, and he's on the phone. And he presumably has gotten a hold of somebody in the network. And he's ranting, and he's raving, and he's being an asshole, and talking about how he doesn't like assholes, which is supposed to be comedy, but it's not funny. On and on he goes, and suddenly he begins to stammer. The story is that Sting lied, and he had not been hired as the new network exec. Nobody had bothered to check to see if he was telling the truth. So Sting shows up and admits that, in fact, he made it up. He is not the network exec. So he has his bird cage, and he puts it over off screen, and he says, Eric, check this out. Or whatever it is he says. And he whips it off, and out of the bird cage flies a bird. One bird. And the bird flies over and sits on Eric's computer monitor. Sting has a key, I think, to the bird cage? I don't know. But long story short, apparently Sting was so concerned that Eric Bischoff might leave his office during a cage match, presumably to interfere, despite the fact that besides this match taking place inside a fucking cage, the cage is surrounded by 5 grown men. He's so concerned that Eric might do this that he has brought a bird to hold Eric Bischoff hostage. Bischoff sold for the bird. He recoiled in fear. Stay away from me, bird! As the bird hopped on his desk. And then off Sting went, and that is the last we ever saw of Eric. He did not come out. He may, in fact, still be in his office right now being held hostage by a bird. And if you think I'm making a fucking minute of this up, second of this,
no, this is all accurate.
You're wrong.
This is what happened on your television screen. It was when it finally ended. You looked over at me. I looked back at you. You just rewound the last 2 minutes of this to make sure that what we saw was actually what happened. And yes, Sting was so concerned, for all the reasons you noted, that Eric Bischoff may interfere in this, that he went through the time and effort to find a guard bird.
A guard bird?
A security bird.
Yes.
He told Eric...
And this was not an eagle.
No, that's an important key, too.
This was not a pterodactyl.
Or an ostrich, or an emu. No, this was a raven.
A seagull.
A magpie. I wanted Eric to just... Shawn Michaels would not put up with the shit, I can tell you that.
No, of course
Shawn
not.
Michaels would have made this a dead bird.
Shawn Michaels chased after a bird and did a flying body press on it to take this bird out. Meanwhile, Eric Bischoff cowered in fear because a guard bird was holding him hostage in his office.
Sting also warned that this bird would eat Eric's eyeballs. That's true.
I've never seen anything like this.
No, I don't think I have either.
We have now reached the point where storylines involve men being grown men concerned about grown men going to interfere in a cage match that is, by the way, a cage match surrounded by lumberjacks. So to keep this man from interfering, a guard bird has been procured. I've seen it all.
Now, here's a question.
I have seen it all.
Here's a question.
You know what? This is even stupider than the barbed wire Christmas tree.
Yes.
Because at least it's like, okay, it's a hardcore match. We got to make some shit out of barbed wire. It's Christmas. Let's make a fucking barbed wire Christmas tree as a gimmick.
Plus, were you to produce and manufacture a Christmas tree made from barbed wire, I would say, boy, that sure would hurt if I ran into it.
I don't want to get close to that fucking thing.
I cannot believe for a second that Eric Bischoff was terrified of this bird.
He's held hostage by a bird. Yeah.
This was completely ridiculous.
And then the highlight of the show. Well, actually, that was the highlight of the show. But the story of this show was that, in fact, in this cage match, surrounded by lumberjacks. The finish was outside interference from Bully Ray.
Blatant, flagrant, nonchalant. Just
the vision I have, like when I close my eyes and I think of this impact, besides the bird hopping on Eric Bischoff's monitor and then jumping onto his desk, the vision I have in my head is Bully Ray standing there. The cage door has been swung wide open, and Bully Ray is handing a chair to Kurt Angle, and the referee is standing there looking at him with a look of confusion on his face, as if to say, "What should I do?" So yes, Bully tried to give Mr. Anderson a chair, but then he wouldn't let go of it, and so Mr. Anderson was distracted, and Kurt Angle gave him an Olympic slam and pinned him. And yes, there was outside blatant interference in a lumberjack match in a cage.
it was. They had all the other bad guys come down and brawl with Fortune, so Bubba Ray could sneak down and be unmolested. And then yes, he just opened the door.
Yeah. God damn, this show's
Is this
stupid.
a magnet holding it in place?
This show is so stupid. So
What?
yeah, there you go, everybody. That's Impact. That's the Impact show that every week I have to hear somebody defend. Whatever floats your boat. Whatever floats your boat. 8,000 buys.